Here's a number that confuses a lot of people: $80,000 a year. In most parts of the country, that's not a struggling income. That's a comfortable one. And yet, millions of people earning exactly that amount are checking their bank balance on a Tuesday afternoon, doing quiet math in their head, wondering if they can afford to wait until Friday to buy groceries. If you've ever felt that specific kind of confusion, earning what should be enough, while somehow never quite having enough, this is for you. Not because something is wrong with you, but because there's a very specific, very common financial pattern hiding underneath a perfectly respectable salary. Let's look at a realistic example. She's 33, works in marketing, earns $80,000 a year. After taxes, that comes out to roughly $5,400 a month. Add that up. Rent, car, insurance, credit card, student loan. That's $2,710, exactly half her take-home pay, before she's bought a single meal. On paper, this still doesn't look reckless. It looks like a person doing what she's supposed to do. Working full-time. Paying her obligations. Not ignoring her debt. Not living beyond her means in any obvious, visible way. So here's the uncomfortable question worth sitting with. If none of these individual decisions seem irresponsible, why does the math still not work? The answer isn't a single mistake. It's something quieter. It's the fact that an $80,000 salary today doesn't behave the way an $80,000 salary behaved 15 or 20 years ago. Rent has climbed faster than wages in most cities. Cars, once a 4 or 5 year expense, are now financed for 6 or 7 years, at higher interest rates. Debt that used to be occasional has become, for a lot of people, simply a permanent monthly line item, not a temporary situation being paid down, but a fixed cost, indistinguishable from rent or a phone bill. The number on your paycheck feels like it should mean something specific, a certain kind of stability, a certain kind of freedom. And when that stability doesn't materialize, the natural conclusion is that you're doing something wrong. Usually, you're not. You're operating inside a set of fixed costs that simply consume more of a dollar than they used to. Let's finish the math. After the $2,710 in fixed obligations, she has $2,690 left. Groceries and basic utilities take roughly $550. Health insurance premiums, since her employer only covers part of it, another $180. That's already $3,440 spent, out of $5,400. What remains is about $1,960. That sounds like a reasonable cushion. But this is where the invisible layer comes in. A few subscriptions she barely tracks, $40. A gym membership, $55. Dining out or ordering in, a few times a week, because after a long day, cooking feels like one more obligation, roughly $380. Occasional shopping, clothes, small home items, gifts for friends, maybe $220. That's another $695, all in small, individually reasonable pieces. What's actually left by the end of the month is somewhere between $200 and $400, and that's assuming nothing unexpected happens. A car repair. A medical copay. A flight home for a family event. Any of those, and the number goes to zero, or below it. Here's the part that matters. If she could consistently set aside even $500 a month, not a dramatic amount, just a disciplined one, and invest it, tracking something as simple as average long-term market growth, over 25 years that becomes roughly $475,000. Not from a raise. Not from a windfall. Just from consistency, if the space for it existed. That's the real weight of this pattern. It's not that she's failing. It's that there's currently no room left for the version of her financial life that actually builds something. So why does this keep happening, to people who are, by every reasonable measure, responsible? Because almost none of these decisions are made purely with numbers. The car isn't just transportation, it's the difference between arriving at work calm or anxious, between reliability and constant worry. The takeout isn't just food, it's the 10 minutes of relief at the end of an exhausting day when cooking feels impossible. The subscriptions aren't waste, they're small, private permissions to feel normal, to feel like life includes some enjoyment, not just obligations. There's also a quieter pressure, the pressure of comparison. Everyone around her appears to be managing fine. Co-workers post vacations. Friends move into slightly nicer apartments. Nobody posts their credit card balance or their real monthly numbers. What she's comparing her life to isn't other people's actual financial position, it's the curated 15% of their life that gets shown. And against that 15%, her own very normal financial strain feels like a personal failure, when it's really just an incomplete picture on both sides. If this pattern continues without change, the outcome isn't sudden collapse. It's something slower and less visible. It's still having no real emergency fund 5 years from now, because every small raise gets quietly absorbed into a slightly upgraded version of the same lifestyle. It's a growing, low-level anxiety around money that never quite goes away, even as the salary number on paper keeps climbing. It's retirement contributions that stay at the bare minimum required to get an employer match, not because retirement doesn't matter, but because there's simply nothing left to give it more attention. It's freedom that technically exists somewhere down the road, but keeps getting pushed further out, one financially tight year at a time. Not crisis. Just a very ordinary, very common version of staying exactly where you started, while working the entire time to avoid falling behind. Now, here's what tends to be different about people who do eventually break this pattern, and it's rarely about earning dramatically more. It's usually a shift in what they treat as fixed versus flexible. Instead of treating, they also tend to separate two different questions that most people accidentally merge together: can I afford this, and will this still feel worth it in 5 years? A lot of spending survives the first question easily. Very little of it survives the second one honestly. And they tend to be comfortable with a version of their life that doesn't look particularly impressive from the outside. A car that's paid off but unremarkable. An apartment that's fine, not photogenic. This isn't deprivation, it's a trade, choosing a financial account that grows quietly over a lifestyle that looks good publicly but grows nothing privately. None of this means the woman in this story, or anyone living a similar version of it, is doing something wrong. She's not. She's making reasonable decisions inside a cost structure that leaves very little room for anything else. That's not a character flaw. It's the actual, current math of an $80,000 salary in a lot of places right now. Most people in this position aren't bad with money. They're just financially boxed in a very ordinary, very human way, and boxed in is a very different thing from careless. Awareness of exactly where the money goes, and exactly how much room actually exists after fixed costs, is where any real change quietly begins. Not guilt about the past. Just clarity about the present. If this gave you a clearer picture of your own numbers, consider subscribing. There's more of this kind of thinking coming.